Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for their generosity, whether it be sharing this fundraiser, whether it be donating or even talking about it, checking on me and Ava. It is beyond appreciated. For those of you who don't know what is going on with me, I'm going to tell you about my story a little bit. So back in May, I started experiencing both swelling and tearing of my left eye. So this guy here. And long story short, I saw three separate doctors. I went to two urgent care facilities and one primary doctor. I was diagnosed with allergies, prescribed Zyrtec, nasal spray, and eye drops, and sent on my merry way. I knew that there was something else going on because I wasn't getting better. My eye was swelling worse. It was really embarrassing. I wait tables and it looked like I was crying all the time. So on Ava's first day of school, I went to the emergency room. I had a CT scan, and the CT scan indicated I have a lesion in my left eye and near my lacrimal duct, which is where your tear duct is. So from there, was referred to an ophthalmologist. That ophthalmologist, unfortunately, was unable to help me, as what I might have had was not his specialty. So he sent me to a fantastic ophthalmologist who gave me a barrage of tests. I had to get another CT scan. I had to get an MRI. Both of those indicated that I had a mass, potentially a tumor. At the time, the mass / potential tumor was about 3 centimeters, so fairly large. From there, I had to get a test where he essentially inserted a needle in the puncta, which is right in the corner of your eye. It's a tiny dot, to see if my eye was draining, which it wasn't. So our initial thoughts was I had potentially blocked tear duct. Scheduled for surgery, two separate surgeries, scheduled for October 23rd. One was to remove the mass or potential tumor and biopsy it, and the second would be to repair the tear drainage system. Had surgery October 23rd. It went pretty well. They didn't have to do the tear drainage repair because once they took the tumor out, my eyes were draining normally. So I was told, we'll give you your biopsy results in a couple of days. Fast forward to October 26th. Just so happens my boyfriend came into town to see how I was doing after surgery. He had a hotel. I literally walked over the threshold of his hotel room, and I get a call from my doctor's office. I blew it off. I thought they were confirming an appointment I had for the following day, the 27th. They kept on calling and calling and calling and calling. Finally answered, we need you to come in today instead of tomorrow. And me being me, no, I'm keeping my appointment. I'm spending time with my boyfriend. Finally, they put my doctor on the phone himself, and he told me I need to come in immediately. Very scary sounding. So I called my mom and I had her meet me up at my doctor's office. Waited for some time, and he called me back and he informed me that yes, they'd done the biopsy and I had lymphoma. So initially, in a state of shock, had a bit of an emotional breakdown with my mom on the way home. But you're, okay, cool, I have lymphoma. What's next? You think there's an immediate game plan. You would be wrong, as was I. So you have to see an oncologist, but before you see an oncologist, you have to get a referral from your primary. In order to see your primary, you have to make an appointment. My primary, unfortunately, didn't have any available appointments until November. After that, I wasn't able to see my oncologist until December 3rd. So I go to see my oncologist. Okay, cool, we're going to have a game plan. Again, you would be wrong, as would I. So I had to do a whole other series of tests. I had to get another CT, another MRI. Not only did it indicate that I still had a tumor here, but it had grown almost to the same size it was before, which, to be in all fairness, when my tumor was removed during surgery, it was about the size of a large grape, so about yay big. In addition to that, I had to have bone marrow taken out of my spine and my tailbone, my hip bone. And seriously, the most uncomfortable, scary procedure I've had, and I've had a C-section. And they couldn't sedate me. For whatever reason, I wouldn't go under. So I was awake for the whole thing. They essentially drill out and use a mallet to pound your bone marrow out of your hip and your spine. Fortunately, my bone marrow came back okay. So then I had a PET scan. PET scan, they give you radiation that they inject through an IV. And you sit for about an hour, it absorbs in your body, then you're put in a machine like an MRI for about an hour, and it does a body scan. On my 34th birthday, I got called to my doctor's office with my results, and I was diagnosed with stage 3 B-cell lymphoma. So basically what that means is lymphoma essentially is a cancer of the bloodstream and the lymphatic tissue. My particular kind of lymphoma is related to the B cells. My PET scan indicated flashes, so flashes indicate potential cancer, definitely of normal cells. So in the place where I already had a tumor, tonsils, lung, kidney, ovaries, hence the stage 3. The big concern there was that my tonsils. Your tonsils are a one-way ticket to your brain, and that can be potentially fatal. So I had to see an ear, nose, throat doctor who wanted me to, rather than do several biopsies of my tonsils, wanted to take the whole thing out and biopsy it that way. So I had a tonsillectomy. Before I had a tonsillectomy, I had to have my port installed. So for those of you who don't know or are not familiar, a port essentially is a vessel for people who are on long-term chemo regimes. I'm on RCHOP, and RCHOP is administered every 3 weeks, and my cycle is 5 to 8 months. Okay, so let me show you. So this guy, so I have one incision here, and I have one incision here. All of my IVs, all my blood's drawn, all my chemo is given through here, this incision right above here. And then there's a wire that leads up to here that leads directly to my heart. Your heart pumps your chemo through your body. One of the medications with that chemo is toxic to the heart. So in addition to the 5 other doctor's appointments I have to go to regularly, I now have to see a cardiologist every 2 weeks to monitor my heart. So what's the point of going through chemo, getting better, if your heart's ruined? So we're monitoring that very closely. My tonsillectomy was fortunately not cancerous at all, which is a great thing. Otherwise, I would have had to get intrathecal infusions. I unfortunately just had really, really bad tonsillitis, and my tonsils were enormous. One was something like 8 grams, my left one, and the other one was something like 5.6, which is enormous. Your tonsils aren't supposed to be that big. So thankfully, I don't have that. First round of chemo was terrifying and exhausting. I did okay, though, better than I expected. I had nausea, but the overwhelming thing for me was pain and exhaustion. But I got through it. I did okay. Second round, I was really, really lucky. My boyfriend came up and stayed with me throughout the entire 8.5 hours. Again, did relatively well, just really tired, in a ton of pain. My anxiety level is ridiculous. That's the main thing, pain and anxiety. I've been prescribed some anti-anxiety medication and really low dose of painkillers, which are not doing much of anything. There's days that I can't even get Ava to the bus stop because I can't walk. That's how much pain I am. And if you know me, I have a super high pain tolerance, always have. You know, I've never missed a day of work I fight through whatever. So there's been many questions that people have asked. The first and the most annoying is, are you going to lose your hair? How do you feel about losing your hair? Blah, 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 blah. Yep, I sure did. After about day 10, after my first round, I started losing my hair. I had a beautiful wig made for me, and I officially lost everything about last week. I really don't care. Ava is another question people ask about all the time. She's handling things relatively well. She's strong, she's kind, she cares. She hates this, so I try to wear scarves around this. She's also experiencing some bullying. There's a little kid who likes to pick on her, and which is really shitty, but she's handling it relatively well. I'm fighting super hard for her. And that's pretty much how she's doing. I apologize very much for anybody I've canceled plans with or not seen or talked to. This is an exhausting process, and I'm trying my best to stay active. We've got the pup now, who I'm constantly chasing around. I am taking a dance class, a private dance class, on Saturdays, which is helping keeping my body strong and so my muscles don't atrophy. It's also helping me get some rage out. Focusing a lot in school. My grades are super good, super strong, all A's. You know me, I can't fail. Also, there's been some people are like, oh, you look so good. Why aren't you working? Etc. and so forth. First of all, if you know me, I'm pretty adept at doing my makeup, wearing 10 pounds of makeup at any given time. This is me in my natural state right now. As for not working, I'm literally in so much physical pain regularly, I can't. Also, I had a bout of neutropenia a couple of weeks ago where my blood counts were so low I almost had to be hospitalized. Working in a restaurant environment, waiting tables is not conducive to that. I would give anything to go back to work. It would take a enormous burden off of me. I wouldn't have to have a fundraiser to support my daughter and I, which is one of the most humbling and humiliating things I've ever had to do. But also, it's filled me with a sense of gratitude. I've experienced support from all over the world, literally. From my family, my friends, my boyfriend's family, my stepfather's wrestling community has all really helped by either donating, sharing, discussing it, and I am beyond grateful. I'm going to beat this. I've never been one to give up on a fight. I'm fighting for Ava. I'm fighting for my family. And I just wanted to give some insight on what my story is, so maybe you'd have a better understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I'm handling things. I appreciate you listening, and I love all of you. Thank you for the support.